The red lights flashed across the command center of the Xanthari flagship. Admiral Vextar stood before the massive viewing screen, his 4 arms crossed behind his back. The deep space probe had just returned from the outer rim of the galaxy, and its message was not what anyone expected. "Sir, the probe's data is complete," reported Lieutenant Kexenol, his voice shaking slightly. "You need to see this." The screen filled with images of a small blue planet. It looked peaceful from space, with white clouds swirling over green and brown land masses. But the data told a different story. "This world designation Terra 3 shows signs of a dangerous species," the probe's computer voice announced. "The creatures have survived 5 major extinction events. They show extreme adaptability and violent tendencies." Admiral Vextar's yellow eyes narrowed. In his 300 years of service, he had conquered dozens of worlds. No primitive species had ever posed a real threat to the mighty Xanthari Empire. "Show me these creatures," he commanded. The screen changed to show various scenes from Earth. Humans were shown in different situations, some building cities, others fighting wars, and many working together in groups. The probe had been watching for months, learning about this strange species. "They call themselves humans," the computer continued. "They have only basic space travel technology. No energy shields, no plasma weapons. But they have something else." "What?" Admiral Vextar asked, though he was already losing interest. "They never give up." The Admiral's second-in-command, Commander Zaleth, laughed. "That's what makes them dangerous, their stubbornness." But the probe had more to show. Video clips played of humans in impossible situations. A man lifting a car to save a child. Soldiers fighting against overwhelming odds. Scientists working for days without sleep to solve problems. People running into burning buildings to save strangers. They have survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, and countless wars, the probe reported. Each time, they adapt. Each time, they become stronger. Most concerning is their ability to turn anything into a weapon. The screen showed humans throughout history. Cave dwellers using rocks and sticks. Ancient armies with bronze swords. More recent conflicts with guns and tanks. Then space-based weapons that the humans had hidden throughout their solar system. "I recommend avoiding this species," the probe concluded. "They are unpredictable and extremely dangerous when threatened." Admiral Vextar turned away from the screen. "Ridiculous. They're primitives. Look at their technology. They barely have faster-than-light travel. Meanwhile, millions of miles away, Captain Jake Morrison sat in the Lunar Defense Station, watching his screens carefully. The strange object had been detected 3 days ago, moving through their solar system. It was clearly not human technology. "Captain, we're getting some odd readings," reported Lisa Hayes from the communications station. She was young but sharp, one of the best code breakers in the Earth Defense Coalition. "What kind of readings?" Jake asked, moving to look over her. "Shoulder, radio signals, very advanced. But here's the weird part. Some of it's about us, about Earth." Ryan Clark, the tactical analyst, looked up from his computer. "Sir, I think someone's been watching us." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now it seemed they had their answer, and it might not be good news. "Can you decode any of it?" Jake asked Lisa. "Working on it, sir. But from what I can tell, it's some kind of report about human behavior, our technology, our history." Back on the Xanthari flagship, Admiral Vextar called a meeting of the High Command, the greatest military. Minds of the Empire gathered in the war room, their various alien forms creating an intimidating sight. "The probe has identified a new world for conquest," Admiral Vextar announced. "It's inhabited by a primitive species called humans. They have some basic technology, but nothing that can threaten us. Commander Zaleth stood up. How many ships? Do we need? A dozen? 20? The probe suggests we avoid this world entirely, Admiral Vextar said. But I believe it's being overly cautious. These humans have no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no quantum drives. They're barely out of their own atmosphere. General Vextar, the oldest warrior in the room, spoke up. Perhaps we should listen to the probe. It has never been wrong before. It has never encountered primitives before either, Commander Zaleth argued. We've conquered 100 worlds. What makes this one different? Admiral Vextar made his decision. We will send a full invasion force. 200 ships should be more than enough to subdue this world and harvest its resources. Sir, General Vextar said carefully, the probe specifically warned about their adaptability. Maybe we should study them more first. Enough. Admiral Vextar slammed his fist on the table. The Empire needs new resources. This world has water, minerals, and a population that can be enslaved. We attack in 7 days. On the lunar station, Jake Morrison was reading the latest report from his team. They had managed to decode part of the alien transmission, and what they found was terrifying. They're planning to invade, he told his staff. From what we can tell, they think we're primitive and helpless. How long do we have? Asked Ryan Clark. Maybe a week, maybe less. Lisa Hayes looked up from her computer. Sir, there's something else. The probe that was watching us, it sent a warning to its people. It told them we were dangerous. And they ignored it. Jake Morrison smiled grimly. Throughout human history, people had made the mistake of underestimating humanity. It never ended well for them. Send a message to Earth Defense Command, he ordered. Tell them we're about to have visitors. And Lisa? Yes, sir? Make sure they know the aliens were warned about us. They just chose not to listen. As the message traveled to Earth, Jake looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, an alien fleet was preparing to attack his world. They thought humans were weak and primitive. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Empire had been warned. But they were coming anyway. The space around Jupiter's moons suddenly filled with ships. 200 Xanthari vessels dropped out of hyperspace, their dark hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. Each ship was the size of a city, armed with weapons that could destroy planets. Admiral Colmer stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the small blue world in the distance. After 7 days of travel, they had finally reached their target. The conquest of Terra 3 was about to begin. All ships report ready, Admiral, his communications officer announced. Excellent. Open a channel to the planet. Let's get this over with quickly. The message was broadcast on all frequencies, reaching every radio and television on Earth. Admiral Colmer's image appeared on screens around the world. A tall, reptilian creature with glowing yellow eyes and sharp teeth. Primitive inhabitants of Terra 3, he began, his voice cold and commanding. I am Fleet Admiral Colmer of the Xanthari Empire. Your world now belongs to us. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and you will suffer greatly. Before you die. The message ended, and Admiral Colmer waited for the expected response. Every species they had conquered before had immediately surrendered when faced with the might of the Xanthari fleet. This would be no different. Instead, a new voice came through the speakers. It was calm, female, and completely unafraid. Admiral Colmer, this is Admiral Kate Sullivan of the United Earth Space Command. We received your message. Here's our response. You were warned about us. Leave now or face the consequences. Admiral Colmer's officers looked at each other in confusion. Had these primitives just threatened them? Did she just ... began his tactical officer. Ignore it. Admiral Colmer said. "Primitive bravado. They'll understand their mistake soon enough. All ships advance toward the planet. Prepare to demonstrate our power." The Xanthari fleet began moving toward Earth, confident in their superior technology and numbers. What they didn't know was that humans had been preparing for this moment for years. Colonel Ben Parker sat in a hidden command center inside what looked like a simple asteroid mining station. Around him, dozens of operators. Monitored screens showing the approaching alien fleet. "All weapons platforms report ready," announced his second-in-command, Major Susan Wright. "The aliens are taking the bait." "Good," Ben said quietly. "Let them get closer. We want to make sure they can't escape." The Xanthari had studied human technology from the probe's data. They knew about human satellites, space stations, and the few ships humans had in orbit. What they didn't know was that humans had been very creative in hiding their true capabilities. Every asteroid mining facility was actually a weapons platform. Every communications satellite carried military-grade weapons. Even the garbage collection. Drones had been modified with explosive charges. Admiral Colmer's fleet passed the first of Jupiter's moons, still confident in their superiority. That's when Lieutenant Commander Amy Foster struck. Amy was piloting one of 12 stealth fighters, hidden in the rings of Jupiter. The ships were so small and quiet that the Xanthari sensors couldn't detect them, but their weapons were devastating. "Ghost Squadron, this is Ghost Leader," Amy whispered into her radio. "Target the rear ships. Hit them hard and fast, then disappear." The 12 fighters emerged from the ring particles like deadly shadows. Their weapons were simple but effective, kinetic missiles that moved at incredible speeds. The Xanthari had shields that could stop energy weapons, but these solid projectiles punched right through. The first 3 Xanthari ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The aliens had no idea what had hit them. "We're under attack," Admiral Colmer's communications officer shouted. 3 ships destroyed. "Impossible. Where did they come from?" "Unknown, sir. Our sensors show nothing." Amy's fighters had already disappeared back into the rings, but the damage was done. The Xanthari fleet was confused and angry. They had expected easy prey, not a coordinated ambush. "All ships, return fire." Admiral Colmer ordered, "Destroy those rings." The Xanthari opened fire with their plasma cannons, turning sections of Jupiter's rings into glowing clouds of gas. But the human fighters were already gone, hiding in different locations. "Sir," Admiral Colmer's tactical officer reported, "we've destroyed large portions of the rings, but we can't find the enemy ships. Keep looking. They must be there." But Amy Foster and her squadron were already preparing for their next attack. They had learned from studying the alien probe that Xanthari ships were powerful but slow to turn. The humans used this weakness against them. Ghost Squadron, new targets, the command ships in the center of their formation. Same tactics, hit and run. The second attack was even more devastating. The human fighters appeared from behind Jupiter itself, using the planet's gravity to slingshot themselves at incredible speeds. They struck the Xanthari formation from an unexpected angle, destroying 5 more ships before vanishing again. Admiral Colmer was beginning to understand that his enemy was not as primitive as he had thought. These humans were using tactics that the Xanthari had never encountered before. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "Sir, they're using our own tactics against us," his tactical officer explained. "They study our movements and attack our weak points." "Weak points? We have no weak points." "Sir, every ship has weak points. The humans seem to know exactly where ours are." On Earth, Admiral Kate Sullivan watched the battle reports with satisfaction. The first phase of the defense plan was working perfectly. The aliens were confused and angry, exactly as planned. "Admiral," reported her communications officer. Colonel Parker confirms 8 enemy ships destroyed. Our losses are 0. Excellent. Phase 2 is ready? Yes, ma'am. All planetary defense systems are online. Admiral Kate Sullivan had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. She had studied every alien invasion movie, every war in human history, and every tactical manual ever written. The plan she had created was simple but effective. Make the aliens think they were fighting a small, desperate force while actually leading them into a massive trap. The Xanthari fleet continued toward Earth, now more cautious, but still confident in their numbers. They had lost 8 ships, but they still had nearly 200 left. Surely that was enough to defeat these primitive humans. Admiral Colmer didn't realize that the humans had been watching them for months. Every ship movement, every weapon, signature, every tactical decision had been studied and analyzed. The humans knew exactly how the Xanthari would react to every situation. As the alien fleet approached Mars, they encountered the next phase of human resistance. What looked like simple communication relays suddenly activated, revealing themselves as weapons platforms. The humans had turned the entire solar system into a battlefield. "Sir," Admiral Colmer's communications officer shouted, "we're receiving massive energy readings from the planet Mars." "What kind of readings?" "Weapons, sir. Lots of them." Admiral Colmer stared at the screen in disbelief. The humans had hidden weapons everywhere. This was not going to be the easy conquest he had expected. "All ships, prepare for battle," he ordered. It seems these humans want to fight. What Admiral Colmer didn't know was that the humans had been preparing for this fight for years, and they had no intention of losing. The Xanthari fleet spread out as they approached Mars, trying to avoid the hidden weapons that had already destroyed several of their ships. Admiral Colmer was starting to realize that these humans were far more dangerous than anyone had expected. "Sir, we're detecting weapons platforms throughout the asteroid belt," reported his sensor officer. "They're disguised as mining equipment." "How many?" "At least 50, sir. Maybe more." Admiral Colmer felt a chill run through his scaled skin. The humans had turned their entire solar system into a weapons platform. This was not the behavior of a primitive species. On Mars, Major San Rodriguez stood in the command center of the Colonial Defense Grid. He had been born on Mars 28 years ago, and he was not about to let aliens take his home without a fight. "All stations report ready," announced his communications officer, Lieutenant Carlos Mendez. "The fleet is moving into position." "Good. Remember, we're not trying to stop them here. We're trying to channel them where we want them to go." The Mars Defense Grid opened fire, but not with full intensity. The humans were being very careful to make it look like they were fighting desperately, while actually guiding the alien fleet toward Earth. Admiral Colmer watched as his ships took damage from the Martian weapons. The humans were putting up a fierce fight, but they were clearly outmatched. This was more like what he had expected. "Sir, we're breaking through their defenses," reported his tactical officer. "Mars will fall within the hour." "Excellent. Continue." The advance toward their home world. What Admiral Colmer didn't know was that the humans were letting him win. Every victory was carefully planned to draw the Xanthari fleet deeper into the trap. Captain Nicole Davis commanded the orbital battle. Stations around Earth. From her position on Station Alpha, she could see the approaching alien fleet. There were still over 150 ships, more than enough to destroy Earth's defenses if they were used properly. But the humans had a secret weapon that the aliens didn't know about. They understood alien psychology better than the aliens understood human psychology. "Captain," reported her tactical officer, "the alien fleet is approaching in standard formation. They're not expecting any serious resistance." "Perfect. Dr. King's plan is working." Dr. Alex King was Earth's chief military strategist. and he had spent years studying alien behavior patterns. He had realized that most alien species followed predictable patterns when they conquered new worlds. The Xanthari would be no different. All stations prepare for Phase 3, Nicole announced. Remember, we need to look desperate, but not helpless. The orbital battle stations opened fire as the Xanthari fleet approached Earth. The aliens responded with overwhelming firepower, destroying several human positions. But for every human weapon they destroyed, 2 more appeared from hidden locations. Admiral Colmer was becoming increasingly frustrated. These humans just kept fighting, no matter how much damage they took. Every time his fleet destroyed a weapons platform, the humans activated new ones. "Sir, we've destroyed over 30 human weapons platforms," reported his tactical officer. "But they keep revealing new ones. How many more can they have?" "Unknown, sir. Our probe data didn't show this level of military preparation." Meanwhile, Commander Julie Thompson was leading the Mars Colonial Fleet in a wide arc around the battle zone. Her 20 ships were small and fast, designed for asteroid mining rather than warfare. But the humans had learned to be creative with their resources. "All ships, prepare for flanking maneuver," she announced. "We're going to hit them where they don't expect it." The Mars fleet had been hiding behind Earth's moon, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Now, with the Xanthari focused on the orbital battle stations, they made their move. Julie's ships accelerated toward the alien fleet's rear guard, their mining lasers modified for combat. The Xanthari had no idea they were coming until it was too late. "Ghost strike successful," Julie reported as her ships destroyed 6 more alien vessels. Returning to secondary position, Admiral Colmer spun around as alarms blared throughout his ship. "What happened?" "We're under attack from behind, sir. Small ships, unknown configuration." "Impossible. Our sensors show nothing." "Sir, these humans are using stealth technology we've never seen before." The truth was simpler than that. The humans weren't using advanced stealth technology. They were using tactics that the Xanthari had never encountered. Human ships were small, fast, and unpredictable. They struck from unexpected angles and disappeared before the aliens could respond. Dr. Alex King watched the battle from his command center deep underground. Every move the aliens made was exactly what he had predicted. The Xanthari were following their standard invasion pattern, which made them predictable. "Admiral Colmer is getting frustrated," he announced to his staff. "Frustrated commanders make mistakes." "How can you be sure?" asked his assistant, Lieutenant Maria Santos. "Because humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know how warriors think when they're losing." The battle around Earth continued for hours. The Xanthari fleet was slowly being worn down by constant attacks from unexpected directions. They had destroyed many human positions, but the humans kept fighting. Admiral Colmer realized that his fleet was being herded like animals. Every time they tried to change direction, human forces appeared to block them. Every time they tried to retreat, more human ships attacked from behind. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we're being channeled toward the planet's North Pole." "What's at the North Pole?" "Unknown, sir. Our sensors show nothing unusual." But Dr. Alex King had prepared a special surprise at Earth's North Pole. Hidden beneath the ice were the most powerful weapons humanity had ever built. The aliens were being led directly into the kill zone. "All units, prepare for Phase 4, Dr. King announced. "The trap is about to spring." Admiral Vexstar, watching the battle from the Xanthari command ship, finally understood what was happening. The humans weren't just defending their world. They were using advanced military tactics that the Xanthari had never seen before. "Admiral Colmer," he transmitted, "you need to retreat immediately. This is a trap." "Retreat? From primitives? Never. These aren't primitives. They're using us like a weapon against ourselves." But Admiral Colmer's pride wouldn't let him admit defeat. He had come too far to turn back now. The Centauri fleet continued toward Earth's North Pole. Exactly where? The humans wanted them. Captain Nicole Davis watched as the alien fleet moved into position. All stations, prepare for final phase. This is it. The Centauri fleet was now exactly where Dr. Alex King had planned. They were surrounded by human forces, channeled into a narrow corridor, and completely unprepared for what was about to happen. "Sir," Admiral Colmer's sensor officer reported, "I'm detecting massive energy readings from the planet's surface." "What kind of energy?" "Unknown, sir, but it's building fast." Admiral Colmer suddenly realized that he had made a terrible mistake. The humans hadn't been fighting desperately. They had been fighting intelligently. And now his fleet was trapped. "All ships, emergency retreat," he ordered. But it was too late. The trap had been set, and the humans were ready to spring it. The ice at Earth's North Pole suddenly cracked and split open. What emerged from beneath was humanity's greatest secret: weapons, so powerful that they had been hidden from the rest of the galaxy for decades. Admiral Colmer watched in horror. As massive energy cannons rose from the ice, their barrels pointed directly at his fleet. These weren't the primitive weapons his probe had reported. These were advanced military systems that could destroy entire fleets. All ships, evasive maneuvers. He screamed into his communicator, but it was too late. Dr. Alex King had positioned the Centauri fleet exactly where he wanted them. They were trapped in a narrow corridor with nowhere to run. "Fire," Dr. King said quietly. The polar weapons unleashed their fury. Beams of pure energy tore through the alien fleet, destroying ship after ship. The Centauri had never seen weapons like these before. Their shields, designed to stop plasma and particle beams, were useless against human technology. "Sir, we've lost 20 ships in the first volley," Admiral Colmer's tactical officer reported. "Return fire. Destroy those weapons." But the human weapons were protected by layers of ice and metal that had been specifically designed to resist alien attacks. The Centauri plasma cannons barely scratched the surface. Colonel Maria Santos was leading the boarding operation against the Centauri flagship. Her team of 40 Marines had been training for this moment for years. They knew everything about alien ship design, alien psychology, and alien weaknesses. "Remember," she told her team as their small ship approached the massive alien vessel, "aliens think in straight lines. Humans think in curves. Use that." The boarding ship attached itself to the Centauri hull using magnetic clamps. Maria's team cut through the alien armor with plasma torches, creating an entry point that the ship's designers had never imagined. Inside the Centauri ship, the aliens were panicking. Their security systems were designed to stop other aliens, not humans. The invaders moved in ways that made no sense, using tactics that seemed impossible. How did they get inside? Admiral Colmer demanded. "Unknown, sir. They're moving through service corridors that our own people can't fit through." Maria's team split up into smaller groups, each with a specific target. They moved through the ship like water, flowing around obstacles and striking at weak points. The Centauri tried to stop them, but human adaptability was beyond their understanding. "Team Alpha, target the power core," Maria whispered into her radio. "Team Beta, take the communications center. Team Gamma, with me to the bridge." The Centauri warriors were larger and stronger than humans, but they were also slower and less flexible. The humans used the ship's own design against the aliens, turning every corridor into a trap. Captain Steve Miller was in charge of the engineering teams that had been studying alien technology for months. His people had reverse-engineered captured alien systems and combined them with human creativity to create new weapons. "The hybrid missiles are ready," he reported to Admiral Kate Sullivan. They use alien guidance systems, but human warheads. How effective are they? Let's find out. The hybrid missiles were unlike anything the Xanthari had ever seen. They moved like alien technology, but exploded like human weapons. The combination was devastating. Each missile was actually a small swarm of smaller weapons, designed to overwhelm. Alien point defense systems. When they hit, they didn't just destroy. They adapted, learning from each impact to become more effective. Sir, their missiles are changing. Admiral Colmer's weapons officer reported. Each one is different from the last. That's impossible. Sir, these humans learn from every attack. They're adapting faster than we can respond. The battle around. Earth had become a nightmare for the Xanthari. Everything they had learned about warfare was useless against human tactics. The humans didn't follow the rules of civilized combat. They made up new rules as they went along. Commander Grace Wilson was piloting the experimental ship Phoenix, leading a desperate assault on the alien flagship. Her ship was small and fast, but it carried the most advanced weapons humanity had ever created. Phoenix to all units, she transmitted. Beginning final assault on enemy command ship. The Phoenix dove toward the massive Xanthari flagship, dodging energy beams and plasma bolts. Grace's ship was hit multiple times, but human engineering had made it incredibly tough. Hull breach in Section 4, her engineer reported. We're losing atmosphere. Seal it off. We're not stopping now. The Phoenix struck the alien flagship like a spear, its reinforced hull punching through the alien armor. Grace's ship buried itself deep in the enemy vessel, then exploded in a blast that tore the alien ship apart. Phoenix is down, Admiral Kate Sullivan reported grimly. Grace Wilson gave her life to destroy their command ship, but Grace's sacrifice had worked. The Xanthari flagship was destroyed, and Admiral Colmer was dead. The alien fleet was now leaderless and confused. Admiral Vextar, watching from his command ship, realized that the battle was lost. The humans had demonstrated something that no alien species had ever shown before. They were willing to sacrifice everything to protect their world. All ships retreat immediately, he ordered. We cannot defeat these creatures. But the humans weren't finished. They had been preparing for this moment for years, and they intended to make sure the aliens never forgot it. Dr. Alex King activated the final phase of his plan. Hidden weapons throughout the solar system came online, creating a gauntlet that the retreating aliens would have to run. Let them go, he announced. But make sure they remember what happens when you threaten Earth. The surviving Xanthari ships fled through the solar system, taking damage from hidden weapons at every turn. By the time they reached the edge of human space, they had lost more than half their original fleet. Colonel Maria Santos and her boarding teams had captured 3 alien ships intact, along with their crews. The humans now had prisoners to interrogate and technology to study. What do we do with them? Asked Lieutenant Carlos Mendez. We learn from them, Maria replied, and we make sure they understand that Earth is not to be threatened again. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. The humans had proven that they could defend their world, but they had also shown the galaxy something that would change everything. Humanity was no longer hiding. They were no longer afraid, and they were no longer willing to be ignored. Admiral Vextar's surviving fleet limped back towards Xanthari space, carrying a message that would shake the galaxy to its core. The humans were not the primitive species they had appeared to be. They were something far more dangerous. They were survivors. And they had just announced their presence to the universe in the most dramatic way possible. The Empire had been warned. They had ignored the warning. Now they would pay the price. 3 months after the battle, Admiral Vextar stood before the Galactic Council on the planet Nexus Prime. The Great Chamber was filled with representatives from 100 different species, all waiting to hear about the disaster that had befallen the mighty Xanthari Empire. Honored members of the council, Admiral Vextar began, his voice heavy with defeat. I must report the complete failure of our invasion of the world, known as Terra 3. A murmur ran through the assembled aliens. The Xanthari had never failed to conquer a world before. They were the most powerful military force in the galaxy. How is this possible? Asked the Klaxon representative, her 6 arms gesturing in confusion. Your probe reported that the humans were primitives. The probe was wrong, Admiral Vextar replied. Or rather, we were wrong to ignore its warnings. The humans are not primitives. They are something far more dangerous. Back on Earth, General Paul Adams was overseeing the cleanup operations. The alien attack had damaged several cities and killed thousands of people, but humanity had survived. More importantly, they had won. Sir, reported Colonel Maria Santos, we finished interrogating the alien prisoners. They're willing to cooperate. Good. What have we learned? The Xanthari Empire has been conquering worlds for over 1,000 years. They've never encountered a species that fought back successfully. We're the first. General Adams nodded. The victory had come at a cost, but it had also taught humanity something important about their place in the galaxy. They were not alone. And they were not helpless. Dr. Linda Brooks was leading the team that analyzed the captured alien technology. Her laboratory was filled with alien weapons, computers, and ship components that would keep human scientists busy for years. The good news, she explained to the research team, is that their technology isn't as advanced as we thought. It's just different from ours. What's the bad news? Asked her assistant, Dr. Kevin Smith. The bad news is that there are probably hundreds of species out there with similar technology. We need to be ready for the next invasion. But the humans were already preparing for that possibility. The victory over the Xanthari had united Earth's nations like never before. Old enemies became allies when faced with the threat of alien invasion. On the Xanthari homeworld, the news of the defeat had caused chaos. The Empire had never lost a major battle before, and their people didn't know how to react. How could primitives defeat our greatest fleet? Demanded General Korth, one of the Empire's most respected military leaders. They're not primitives, Admiral Vextar replied. That was our mistake. We assumed that because they didn't have our technology, they were inferior. We were wrong. Then what are they? Admiral Vextar paused, remembering the desperate courage of the human fighters, the clever tactics that had trapped his fleet, and the willingness of humans to sacrifice themselves for their world. They're survivors, he said finally, and they're very, very dangerous. The young humans who had grown up during the invasion were already working on new technologies that would make their species even more formidable. Tony Clark, a brilliant engineer barely out of college, had designed new weapons based on captured alien technology. The problem with alien weapons, he explained to his team, is that they're designed by aliens. They think in predictable patterns. Humans don't. His new weapons were hybrids of human and alien technology, but they incorporated something that alien weapons lacked: human unpredictability. Each weapon could adapt and change during battle, making them nearly impossible to defend against. Emma Johnson, a young pilot in training, was learning to fly the new generation of human spacecraft. These ships were faster and more maneuverable than anything the aliens had ever seen. The key, her instructor explained, is to think like a human, not like an alien. Aliens follow rules. Humans break rules. The message was spreading throughout the galaxy. The Xanthari defeat had not gone unnoticed by other species. Some were impressed by human ingenuity. Others were terrified by human ruthlessness. The humans are not like other species, reported the Vorthan ambassador to his government. They don't surrender. They don't negotiate. They fight until they win or die. Are they a threat to us? Asked the Vorthen High Command. Only if we threaten them first. Admiral Vexstar had been promoted to Supreme Commander of the Zenthari forces, but it was a hollow victory. His new job was to make sure that the Empire never again underestimated a potential enemy. From now on, he announced to his staff, we will study every species carefully before making contact. We will listen to our probes. And we will never again ignore a warning about a dangerous species. But the damage was already done. The news of the human victory had spread throughout the galaxy, carried by traders, diplomats, and refugees. Everyone now knew that there was a species that could defeat the mighty Zenthari Empire. Some alien governments began preparing for possible human expansion. Others sent diplomatic messages, hoping to establish peaceful relations. A few began developing new weapons, fearing that humanity might become the next galactic threat. On Earth, the humans were aware of the effect their victory had on galactic politics. They had not wanted to become a major power, but the choice had been taken from them. We need to be careful. Admiral Kate Sullivan warned the Earth Defense Council. Victory has made us famous. Fame can be dangerous. What do you recommend? Asked the council chairman. We prepare for the next war. Because there will be a next war, other species will test us, just like the Zenthari did. Dr. Alex King had been promoted to head of Earth's new strategic planning division. His job was to prepare humanity for whatever challenges the galaxy might throw at them. The Zenthari made a mistake, he explained to his team. They assumed that because we were different, we were inferior. Other species might make the same mistake. Or they might learn from the Zenthari failure, pointed out his assistant. Either way, we need to be ready. The final scene of the story took place in the Galactic Council chambers, where Admiral Vexstar was concluding his report. The Empire was warned about the humans, he said, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. Our probe told us they were dangerous. We ignored the warning because we thought we were superior. And now? Asked the council president. Now we know better. The humans are not just dangerous. They're potentially unstoppable. They adapt to any situation. They learn from every defeat. And they never, ever give up. The council members sat in stunned silence. The implications were clear. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. What is your recommendation? The council president asked. Admiral Vexstar looked around the chamber at the representatives of 100 different species. Some were curious, some were afraid, and some were already planning their own moves. My recommendation, he said slowly, is that we leave them alone. The humans asked for nothing more than to be left in peace. We should have listened. And if they expand beyond their solar system, then we pray that they remain peaceful, because if they decide to become conquerors. Admiral Vexstar paused, remembering the desperate courage of the human fighters and the terrible efficiency of their weapons. If they decide to become conquerors, he continued, then the galaxy will learn what the Zenthari learned. The Empire was warned. We should have listened. Now it may be too late to contain what we've awakened. The council session ended in silence. Throughout the galaxy, governments were making new plans. Some prepared for diplomacy, others for war. All of them now understood one simple truth. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they had made quite an entrance.